Right now at 5, Miami, Oklahoma gets Main Street ready for some exciting downtown events and projects.
And it's kind of hard to see Main Street right now. We've got dense fog across the area. We're going to take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, a Missouri neighborhood has a close encounter with a 28-ton out-of-control fire truck.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Amber Jenkins.
I'm Chris Warner. Boy, okay, so that's about how everybody was yesterday morning across the area. It was definitely icy.
Yes, it was.
That's why we were able to bring you the KOAM Morning News from my living room. That was a joy. I know the folks in the back were like, okay, no, we'll figure it out. And that's what we did. We just kind of winged it yesterday. So thanks for sticking with us, because it's one of those things, you got to do what's right. You got to do what's safe. And as weird as it was, that's what we did. Today, though, we're in our nice, comfortable studio, but still dangerous driving conditions out there. Let's take a look outside. This is our camera on top of the Cornell complex in downtown. And it's hard to see outside, but I assure you, those are lights of the city. But look at how thick this fog is. On the way here, it became a whole nother thing of not sliding off the road, but in this case, not being able to find the station because it's dark and it's foggy. You can't see. MoDOT cameras around the area. Take a look at this dense fog across the region. It is dangerous fog. We do want to emphasize that. Like, there are points in which visibility is almost zero in some locations. The Skywatch Storm Tracker showing us clouds around the area. Maybe there's some drizzle out there as well. Of course, that will not show up on the radar, but what does show up on the fog tracker is this dense fog. Look at Miami Grove visibility at 0. Pittsburgh's 0.2 of a mile. This dense fog, though, it's not like we've seen in the past where it's confined to a region or a specific area in our viewing area. It is widespread out there, and we have dense fog advisories through 10 a.m. and up till noon today for a number of counties in our viewing area, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Stockton and those areas added in as we head through the morning as well, with just how dense that fog is. All right, here's the other side of it. A little warmer out there. Pittsburgh a little cooler, 34. Joplin sitting at 40 right now. Kids getting on the bus today, be prepared for that fog. 37 degrees, southeast breeze about 5 to 10 when that bus brings them back home. The fog will be gone, the clouds won't, maybe some light drizzle here and there, and temperatures into the mid-40s. And as we go through today, that's what we're looking at, maybe even some upper 40s out there. And then we'll see rain chances building back in as we head into the evening hours. We're taking another full look at your forecast, talk about these warmer temperatures on the way here in just a few more minutes. Amber?
Thanks, Chris. The U.S. Supreme Court has agreed to take up the appeal of a death row inmate in Oklahoma. Last May, the court halted Richard Gossip's execution while legal challenges played out. Gossip was convicted and sentenced to death for a 1997 murder of his boss, Barry Van Treese. In court papers, the state attorney general says the state supports vacating Gossip's conviction due to prosecutorial misconduct at his trial. Gossip has long insisted he is innocent. Miami, Oklahoma gets Main Street ready for some exciting downtown events and projects. The city plans to tap into the history of the downtown area to draw visitors and generate money. As a part of the program, Miami Main Street works to acquire and assist with various funding sources for events and entrepreneurs, including sponsorships, partnerships, and grants. The city of Miami started the Miami Main Street program in 2023. The Department of Agriculture plans to invest more than $2 million in renewable energy projects in Kansas. Rural Development Kansas plans to use the funds to lower energy bills, boost energy production, and create jobs. In our area, almost $80,000 will head to Girard for 2 wind turbines. The turbines should generate more than 70,000 kilowatt hours. That will be enough for 100% of energy for the Vietz Brothers Incorporated of Girard and the power of more than 6 homes. The Missouri Department of Labor and Industrial Relations dealt with some delays contacting residents about unemployment insurance benefits. Because of the icy roads yesterday morning, it was difficult for employees to get to the office. In turn, that meant calls regarding benefits were delayed, causing the department to issue a statement asking for patience on what is usually the busiest day of the week for those calls. Take a look at what some Missourians witnessed yesterday.
Oh my God, ice, man!
This was the east central town of Imperial, Missouri yesterday morning. That was 56,000 pounds of a fire truck and equipment from the Rock Community Fire Protection District spinning through a neighborhood and into a car. Fortunately, though, no one was hurt. If you managed to stay home yesterday, well, congratulations. But for many of us, that wasn't an option. Walking on ice is dangerous, and emergency rooms saw a lot of falls yesterday. Elizabeth Van Meyer has details from Springfield on the best way to walk on icy weather.
Knowing that we have a responsibility to serve the community and we have a responsibility as emergency medicine individuals really kind of keeps us going.
About 100 Mercy employees either couldn't come to work or were late today because of the icy roads.
We were discussing kind of where staffing stood and how many people had called in. We recognized that we were going to need to take some action to try and get people here.
Early this morning, Mercy EMS vehicles were sent to pick up staff who couldn't make it in, but even those drivers had problems. Some 20-minute pickups turned into an hour. Hospital leaders say, be patient. Leaders at Cox say they tried to prepare for these situations.
Because we know that it's coming. A benefit of that. We do set up some sleep rooms for staff that know they live out of town and would like to come in and stay the night so they don't take a risk on missing work or not being there for our patient populations.
The hospital tells me times like today can be just as stressful for them as it is for you.
Working in a hospital is always stressful, but we do know we have a good process and our staff does trust our process. So I think their stress comes in from driving in from home.
Mercy leaders say the most important message is for you to help them out just a little.
Time to go out and get your mail out of your mailbox, or be very careful when you step out onto the stairs thinking that they may or may not be slick, or look for other options when you take your animals out to use the restroom so that you don't fall and get injured.
Ice spikes for shoes are a good accessory to have before it ice up again. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in your first 7 minutes, coming up on the KOAM Morning News. A new study suggests that a blood test could screen for Alzheimer's disease even before a patient has any symptoms. Plus, for the first time in 2 years, the world's largest natural ice skating rink reopens. And watch out for the foggy roads this morning. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
When I noticed my heat stopped working, I managed of up to $300 off a professionally installed and supplied water heater. Schedule now at gopascal.com.
Well, NEO men's basketball began the season with a win and 2 losses in the first weekend of November. In the 13 games and 2.5 months since then, the Golden Norsemen have not lost once. NEO was scheduled to play Western Oklahoma State yesterday evening and try to push that win streak to 14. However, due to those icy road conditions yesterday morning, that game gets pushed until later today. The Golden Norsemen haven't played at home since December 4th, and they're in first place in their conference. And we're just over a month from the 2024 MIAA basketball tournaments. Pitt State and Missouri Southern men and women each have more than 10 games remaining. Right now, one of them is far above the rest, and that would be the Missouri Southern women's team. The Lady Lions are currently in first place in the MIAA after they've won a 10th consecutive game Sunday. Pitt State women's basketball is a few games behind. They've lost 3 in a row and 4 of their last 5, dropping the Gorillas into a tie for 6th place. On the men's side of the conference, Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern each are a ways from the top. The Gorillas have lost 2 in a row to slide them to 8th place. Missouri Southern has alternated wins and losses for the last month. Each of them still have plenty of time, though, to turn things around. Next opportunity for the Gorillas comes on Wednesday of this week. Good chance for the women's team to bounce back against a Rogers State team that is currently in 11th place. The Hillcats are 3-8 right now. Rogers State men's team is in 5th place in the MIAA right now, winners of 4 in a row. In Joplin on Wednesday night, Lions at home again. It's a good chance for fans to see the top team in the MIAA as the women's team tries to stretch its win streak to 11 in a row. The Northeastern State men are in last place in the MIAA, so that should be a good chance for the Lions men's team to get back-to-back wins for the first time since early December. In the NBA, later today, the Thunder are at home, and the KOAM sports team will be there in Oklahoma City. The Blazers come into town, and it's the final OKC home game before we air Thunder games live on our network of stations. The game tonight is at 7. You'll hear from the KOAM sports team live at the Paycom Center during the KOAM News at 6. Sports Director John Dales and our sports reporter Brock Baldridge will have plenty of coverage for you to follow along with on our social media. The Thunder are just a half game back of first place in the West, so every contest is important, even with nearly half the season remaining. And over to the NFL, there are just 3 games remaining in the 2024 playoffs, but believe it or not, one of the 4 teams remaining makes an addition to its roster yesterday. The Lions, who play the 49ers in the NFC Championship on Sunday, have signed 3-time Pro Bowl tight end Zach Ertz to their practice squad. According to NFL Network reporter Tom Pelissero, Detroit plans to elevate him to the active roster this weekend. Well, still to come, we'll see how AI may quickly and accurately diagnose cancer. We'll have the latest on that. Plus, another check of that foggy forecast and the warmer temperatures that are on the way when the KOAM Morning News returns.
The Stables Casino is giving you more in 2024
on KOAM TV.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Coming up now on 517 on this foggy Tuesday morning across the area. Take a look. This is our camera on the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin, and it is difficult to see much of anything out there, and that is the case with cameras around the area. MoDOT cameras in the metro, dense fog across the area, and that fog is going to stick around for a few hours as we go through the day. So be prepared to slow down. Give yourself time to get where you're going. Think of this like yesterday, except you don't have to worry about sliding off the road on ice at least. Use your low beams, not your high beams. And of course, if you have fog lights, we certainly encourage those as well. KDOT camera on 69 just south of Pittsburgh. You can again barely see the highway. And hopefully folks like that guy there are slowing down. Take a look at visibilities around the area. 0 in Miami and Grove. 0.2 of a mile, Pittsburgh and Joplin. 0.5 mile in Carthage. The entire area, save Nevada, Stockton, Mount Vernon, and Cassville, less than a mile of visibility out there. But wouldn't be surprised to see this dense fog continue to spread across the region. Dense fog advisories have spread across the region. When I was here this morning, it was just right through this corridor. Now it's most of the area, and they have different expiration times, of course, but roughly between 10 a.m. and noon today is how long these dense fog advisories will last across the area. Skywatch Storm Tracker, clear precipitation for right now, but we are getting drizzle mixed in with this fog. Otherwise, it's cloudy, and it's going to remain cloudy today, even once the fog burns out. In Joplin right now, again, foggy. Visibility is at 0 because this doesn't register the decimal point, but as you saw on the fog tracker, about 0.2 of a mile. But it is 40 degrees out there. Humidity is up there, and the winds are calm. Hence why we have the fog. Temperatures around the region, as you go a little further to the south and east, we get a little warmer. 40 in Carthage and Bentonville, 39 Neosho, Anderson, and Grove, 37 Miami. And you head out west, it's a little colder. 30, 48 Center, Neodesha, Parsons, and Pittsburgh, as well as Fort Scott, and at freezing in Sedan and Iola. As for today, we're going to look at isolated showers, maybe some drizzle out there with this fog, and then it'll be later this evening that more meaningful rain chances will start to return to the area. But the good news is, overall, our temperatures are expected to remain above freezing, and therefore we're not looking at that wintry precip, no freezing rain, no sleet, none of that business. We should just have straight rain as we go through tonight into our tomorrow. So again, that fog for most of us lasting through the morning hours. Will be in the low 40s by 11. Highs today looking pretty good, low to mid 40s, maybe even some upper 40s out there with cloudy skies. And then as we head into the evening and overnight hours, the showers will return. Temperatures just kind of hovering out there through the 40s initially, will eventually fall back with lows back into the mid to upper 30s. We're going to be low 50s tomorrow and Thursday. Rain chances will continue. They'll return tomorrow afternoon and evening. And then we'll see rain chances Thursday, Friday, and into our Saturday. But we're also going to see relatively nice temperatures out there. As we head into next week, not too bad. Low 50s, upper 40s, so a little above average as we kick off the next work week. And I think even better, no wintry precipitation at this point as we kick off the next work week either. That's a quick check of your forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Dr. Chris Wilcox of Precision Dental and Dentures. Hands on the wheel.
Topping Health Watch this morning. A cold snap in Minnesota is creating an issue for first responders, with the life-saving drug Narcan freezing in the frigid temperatures. Narcan is used to reverse the effects of an opioid overdose, a growing problem across the Twin Cities. Greg Chapman reports.
Opioid overdoses, an alarming epidemic across the Twin Cities.
And as fentanyl has grown in popularity, the rate of overdoses increased significantly.
Especially in poor neighborhoods and homeless encampments, there's a huge need for the overdose antidote, Narcan.
Lots and lots of folks need help with substance use disorder.
Jordan Abhold leads the opioid and harm reduction team at Neighborhood Health Source. One of its partners stocks these harm reduction stations where people in areas where overdoses happen often can access Narcan. On days like today, recovery experts worry about the life-saving drug freezing.
I think it'll start freezing right around 32 degrees because the majority of the solution is actually water.
Jordan says 5 degrees is when Narcan freezes solid, making it impossible to administer.
The best thing to do, I think, would be to stick it in your armpit as close to your skin as you can and near some large blood vessels, either in your armpit or your groin.
Besides giving out information on how to unfreeze the nasal spray, Jordan and members of his harm reduction team carry it too.
Some fresh supplies, some fresh food, sleeping bags to keep them warm.
To help keep Narcan warm until it's needed to save a life.
It's more extreme the temperatures are, and the more repeated extremes that the Narcan experiences, the less efficacy it will have.
Jordan would love to see warm places to get the antidote.
Whether it be like a box outside that's heated somehow, or some way insulated to keep them from freezing, or just having them be available in a warm place.
Until then, they will hand-deliver Narcan to make sure it's ready to go when needed.
Some doses of Narcan can still be effective nearly a month after freezing, but if it happens repeatedly, doses can begin to lose effectiveness. Democratic lawmakers introduced legislation that will protect access to infertility treatments like fertilization. Lawmakers put forward a plan they call Access to Family Building Act. It would make access to assisted reproductive technology a statutory right. The law will also let patients retain authority over how sperm and eggs are used during such treatments. Democratic Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois said the bill will protect against strict state abortion laws that would try to define fertilized eggs as human beings with rights. The bill will next be referred to committee, which will decide if it should be considered. A new study suggests it is a simple blood test that could screen for Alzheimer's disease even before a patient has any symptoms. The study was published Monday in the journal JAMA Neurology. The test screens for one of several proteins that build up in people with Alzheimer's. Right now, that type of testing involves brain scans and/or spinal taps, which can be expensive and hard to access. But the study found the new blood test, which is much simpler, was just as accurate. The test is currently available for research use only, but one of the study's authors say it should be available for clinical use soon. The company said that developed the first estimate that it would cost between $200 and $500. Cancer cases are on the rise among U.S. adults under 50, according to a recent report by the American Cancer Society. The cancer research says cancer patients are increasingly shifting from older to middle-aged individuals. No matter the age, when cancer strikes, early detection is critical, as it improves chances of survival. Manny Gather has a look at the new artificial intelligence technology being tested at a U.S. hospital that may help to quickly and accurately diagnose cancer.
When it comes to cancer detection, pathologists typically review slides under a microscope to help determine a diagnosis.
At our institute, we've launched a digital pathology program, which allows us to convert that class slide into millions of pixels, which can be reviewed remotely by a second pathologist.
Dr. Anil Parwani with the Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center says they're now testing new technology involving artificial intelligence using algorithms to detect and grade cancer.
When we are detecting cancer using glass slides under the microscope, we are limited to how many people can see it, how many people I can consult with. But once it's in a digital format, not only can an expert review it, but we can then apply artificial intelligence algorithms to detect cancer.
Parwani says the algorithms can be trained to detect specific types of the disease like prostate or breast cancer, and not only catch the cancer, but also determine how much cancer is present in the biopsy and potentially may provide information to help with the prognosis of the disease.
So we are in a very exciting time in diagnostic pathology because we have all these new tools available to us, which can help oncologists, which can help cancer patients like never before.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The doctor says this new technology will continue to be tested in clinical trials at the Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center, but it may take up to 3 years to fully implement it there. He says it will not replace doctors because he says humans are needed to make the final call on a cancer diagnosis. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we are watching this, a very foggy start across the area. Dense fog across the region, dense fog advisories for most of us. We'll have another look at your forecast when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, we'll see how a truck drivers navigate through icy conditions.
And we're going to look at rain heading into the weekend. We've got fog to contend with today. We'll take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, winter snow and ice can lead to dents and dings in your vehicle. We have advice from local experts on what to do if you experience a winter collision.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:32 a.m. I'm Amber Jenkins.
I'm Chris Warner. So, boy, it was an icy start yesterday.
Yes, it was.
Making travel dangerous. And now it's a very foggy start this morning, making travel dangerous. Thankfully, you found the station.
Barely. I was skidding across the road and stuff, you know.
I was doing about 35 on 69, and I had my eyes peeled. You turn the radio down so you can see better for whatever reason. I turn the radio down, and I'm looking for it. I'm like, where's the station lights? Because I knew I wouldn't be able to see the tower. But
I drove past, but I had to come back because it was so foggy.
Yeah, it is extraordinarily
just a
foggy
dark road
out there. In fact, we can show you how foggy it is by taking a look outside at some cameras from MoDOT around the metro area. Take a look at this dense fog out there. It is dangerous. So I know we were kind of just talking about trying to find the TV station, but in reality, this is very dangerous out there once again. So while the roads aren't icy, they're slick from rain, and you have that fog to contend with. So slow down, give yourself time to get where you're going, leave space between you and the vehicle in front of you. Don't use your high beams. use your low beams, and of course you have fog lights, use those, because the high beams don't help you and they certainly don't help the other drivers on the road. Skywatch Storm Tracker showing clouds across the area, of course associated with the fog. We're also getting some light drizzle, and that's not going to show up on radar, but we are getting some out there. Fog Tracker showing where the majority of us have less than a mile of visibility. 2/10 in Joplin, half a mile Pittsburgh, Carthage, 0 visibility, Grove and Miami. And I'm going to tell you, on this stretch of 69 and coming up out of coming up out of Joplin from CJ, 0 visibility, maybe 1/10 of a mile out there. So slow down. Again, give yourself time to get where you're going. Dense fog advisories across most of the region, running through about 10 a.m. and then through noon for the rest of us. And outside right now, aside from the fog, we're doing better. We're above freezing. 40 in Joplin, 34 in Pittsburgh right now. Kids getting on the bus, of course, the fog to contend with, but we're looking at upper 30s out there and cloudy with some drizzle, southeast breeze 5 to 10. When that bus brings them back home, we're talking about temperatures into the mid 40s under cloudy skies and maybe a stray shower or some patchy drizzle. Cloudy skies and again, maybe some drizzle out there today, mid 40s for highs, and then we'll see the rain chances return as we head into the evening. We'll talk about those rain chances and how long these nice temperatures hang around in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Amber?
Thanks, Chris. The treacherous road conditions lead to collisions in the area. Knowing what to do if you find yourself needing your car fixed is crucial. KOAM's Elise Knoll has the details.
Ice and winter weather in the area impacted roadways on Monday morning. It's always important to remember to drive safely.
But what happens when you hit a patch of ice and run into another vehicle, or in this case, a stop sign, and you're needing to put your vehicle back together?
Craft Insurance in Joplin says if you find yourself in a situation where your car is damaged, you'll want to make sure to document as much of the accident as you can while you're at the scene.
Take pictures before you move the cars and make sure that you're getting information on any of or from any of the witnesses that are there, as well as the other party. You can get their name, their address, their telephone number. A lot of times we forget to do those types of things, along with the insurance company that they're insured with and their policy number.
They also suggest assessing damage before making an insurance claim to avoid skyrocketing insurance rates. Kraft says it might be easier to pay out of pocket.
Let's make educated decisions. So you want to make sure that you know what the damage is. If it's just your car and only your car, it may not be worth turning it in. It may be worth you just paying for the damage.
After assessing whether to file a claim through your insurance company, the process continues. In Joplin, most body shops have waiting lists ranging from a couple of weeks to a whole month.
All shops like ours have a schedule that's scheduled out several weeks all the time. We're scheduled out weeks in advance all year long, and most shops are. Things like this, they impact us because we have to push those out a little further, and customers are not prepared for that.
And it's never a bad idea to have a plan in case you find yourself in a collision.
Irregardless of weather, but most people who have full coverage insurance assume they have rental coverage, and they usually don't. And you usually don't figure that out till you've had a wreck, and then you're looking for an alternative vehicle, and you may not have coverage for that. So.
In Joplin, Elise Snowy, KOAM News.
Craft Insurance says to try and contact your insurance agent as soon as possible if you're in a wreck, and to not wait longer than a week to make a claim. Well, driving on icy roads with low visibility can be difficult for anyone, especially if you're driving a semi-truck like truckers at Joplin 44 Petro. Some truck drivers we spoke to said they remind each other when the roads are this dangerous, you can replace the freight, but not your life.
The main thing is keep your following distance, safe speed. Snowing, I don't like to chain up, so I shut it down to be safe. You know, it's more my life compared to the freight.
If the load's in a hurry to go, find somebody else or don't pull it, because it's not worth your life or anybody else's life.
Other drivers can also help truckers stay safe by avoiding their blind spots, allowing extra room for trucks on turns, and remembering they may need a little extra space to stop. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Tanks are seen in southern Israel as the country continues its ground offense in Gaza. Plus, the Supreme Court filed federal agents can start removing razor wire along the southern border. We have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
On KOAM News is sponsored by Aaron Sachs and Associates, proud partner of Travis Kelce and his foundation, 87 and running.
Topping World Watch. For the first time in 2 years, the world's largest natural ice skating rink reopens. On Saturday, Canada's famous Rideau Canal Skateway opened to the public. The skateway spans about 5 miles and is a part of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization World Heritage Site in Ottawa last year. Skating enthusiasts couldn't enjoy the rink because of the lack of ice. The skateway was first opened more than 50 years ago. Ex-owner Elon Musk visiting the site of Auschwitz-Birkenau death camp on Monday. The tech billionaire said the tragedy of the Holocaust, quote, hits you much more in the heart when you see it in person. The visit came after Musk has widely criticized over how his social media platform, known as X, deals with anti-Semitic posts. And he has since apologized for endorsing an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. Prominent Jewish leaders and called on the billionaire to see one of the most symbolic sites of the Holocaust for himself. Nazi Germany murdered more than 1 million people in the Auschwitz death camp in occupied Poland during World War II. Almost 1 million of them were Jews. Tanks seen in southern Israel as the country continues its ground offense on Gaza. Video shows various military vehicles and tanks going through Israel's southern region. Fighting the Gazian city of Khan Yunis continues as smoke coming from the Gaza Strip becomes a daily sight. According to Gaza's health ministry, more than 25,000 Palestinians have been killed since the beginning of Israel's offensive on the region. Now, the United Nations say 1/4 of those in Gaza are starving, as many no longer have access to food and water. The Supreme Court ruled federal agents can start removing razor wire along the southern border in an area of federal land Texas took over. State officials, however, are refusing to back down, installing new fencing in the area. Correspondent Danamir Mikkel has the latest from Eagle Pass, Texas.
Texas military engineers spent the whole weekend installing hundreds of yards of razor wire in Shelby Park, city-owned property that the state of Texas recently seized control of and kicked the federal government out. Texas state troopers have been arresting migrants who tamper with the razor wire while crossing illegally, charging them with criminal trespassing, but we don't know if that will continue or for how long. The reason Texas DPS took on the role of arresting migrants was because Border Patrol was ordered out of the park. Today, the justices, by a 5-4 vote, granted an emergency appeal from the Biden administration. Texas Governor Greg Abbott defended his strategy before the decision.
This is an invasion by people we don't know who they are, where they're coming from, or the danger they may pose. And so it's right for Texas to have taken the steps that we have taken to crack down on the illegal crossings.
It's notable that Chief Justice Roberts and Justice Barrett sided with the court's 3 left-leaning justices to rule in favor of the Biden administration. We just heard from Border Patrol Union President, who says, quote, agents support what Texas was trying to accomplish in the absence of true border security policies from this administration. What happens next is the question, and if we will see any change.
That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
At Canar Eye Care.
Aided entrees and live entertainment. Indigo Sky Casino, Highway 60 west of Seneca, Missouri. IndigoSkyCasino.com.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 5:46 now on this Tuesday morning. We are dealing with this across the area. After dealing with icy roads, making travel hazardous, we're now dealing with wet roads, which are still slick, but we're also dealing with very dense fog across the region, making travel hazardous yet again. And we still do have some closings that are scrolling across the bottom of your screen, and they're updated for today, and that does include some schools, so make sure you check that list. This is our camera on the Cornell complex. You can barely see anything. You can see a little better from some of the MoDOT cameras around the metro area, but you can see, though, that fog is still thick out there. KDOT camera south of Pittsburgh on 69, also dense fog. In fact, on the fog tracker, we have dense fog, most of us at a mile or less visibility out there. Grove and Miami still reporting 0, 0.2 of a mile in Joplin, 0.7 in Pittsburgh, and we have dense fog advisories accordingly for most of the area. Now, through Oklahoma and Arkansas, these run through 10 a.m. The rest of us, these run until noon today, and that's how long we're expecting some of this fog to stick around. In terms of detectable precipitation, Skywatch Storm Tracker not picking up on it. Showing the clouds, we are getting some drizzle out there as well, contributing to the dense fog. We're sitting at 40 in Joplin, though, and we have a calm breeze and high humidity. There's where the fog starts to build in. We've got a lot of evaporation taking place from yesterday as well. Out to the west, it's a little colder. We're talking mid-30s, even some low 30s out there. But as you head further south and east, it's a little warmer. We go upper 30s, right around 40 degrees. And as we head through today, some drizzle, patchy shower here or there will be possible. We're otherwise going to be cloudy. It won't be until this evening, and we're going to see another round of actual detectable rain start to roll into the area. Now, I know on the future track it is showing the possibility of maybe some sleet out there, but I think temperatures are going to remain warm enough that most of what falls, if not all of what falls, is going to be just rain, and it's not going to be freezing rain because even though we'll get chilly tonight, temperatures will not drop below freezing. In fact, they're not going to do that for a while at least. We're going to go into the low 40s by late morning, and we'll have that patchy fog out there and cloudy skies. Cloudy, maybe some drizzle, maybe an isolated shower or two, and we'll be warmer into the mid, maybe even upper 40s. Rain returns this evening. We hover in the 40s for a bit, and then we will eventually fall back into the mid to upper 30s. So not cold enough for wintry weather, but a cold rain nonetheless. More fog tomorrow morning that we're going to have to contend with, and then showers return by the afternoon, evening hours on our Wednesday. But check out these temperatures above average. We go low, almost mid-50s heading into Friday. Rain continues into Saturday. We do get a little cooler heading into the weekend, albeit briefly, and then the sunshine returns next week, and we see temperatures returning to the low 50s. Let's check your forecast. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Hero Fund USA and KOAM News Now supporting the force.
Contact us through our website, through email, or phone. We'd love to have you.
The widow of a fallen Army sergeant and her family in North Carolina are marking a new beginning of their lives, thanks to a volunteer group, Operation Coming Home. Julian Grace was there when the family opened the door to their new home.
Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo!
It was a day of celebration.
It's beautiful.
They came with new keys and a new home.
You feel good? All right. You feel good? You feel good? All right.
It's been a long road for Ava Bradley and her children. See, back in 2008, her husband, Staff Sergeant Wantre Bradley, was killed while serving in Iraq. His death left Bradley a widow and their children without their father.
While we honor the sacrifice paid by Staff Sergeant Wantre Bradley.
But today, the Purple Heart recipient was remembered. And not to be forgotten in all of this was the family he left behind. Volunteers with Garment Homes built the family this brand new home in Fuquay, Verena.
We thank God. We thank everybody that had anything to do with it. We appreciate everybody. Everybody.
The donated home is part of Operation Coming Home, a mission to help injured troops and families of fallen service members.
God bless America, my home, sweet home.
And after the singing and ceremony was done, Bradley took time to reflect on what this beautiful home means to her family.
It shows that they appreciate what their dad, my late husband, did. It shows that we're not alone. You know, that they see it. And they love us too. It may seem like we're starting over, but we're just continuing this journey in another neighborhood.
Bradley was on his second tour of duty in Iraq when he was killed. We'll be right back.
Life is full KOAM, and that's only the beginning. Thunder Friday nights. See the entire schedule on KOAMNewsNow.com.
Some Ohio state legislators want to incentivize kids staying in school and graduating through cash payments. Republican State Representative Bill Seitz and Democrat legislator Danny Isaacson of Cincinnati say they want a bill passed to allow for a pilot program that would make cash transfers to select kindergarten and ninth graders for high attendance rates. The lawmakers also want a graduation and grade point average incentive pilot program paying out $250 to $750. The students in select schools during the 2024 and 2025 academic school year. The initial programs are short-term and only certain students will get the payments, while the other group is the control group. Currently, the bill is being reviewed by a House committee. Some zoos know love is crawling around out there and waiting for a pet name. The Bronx Zoo and the San Antonio Zoo say, hey, what love is better than roaches? And you can give your loved one or disliked former significant other a gift by naming a roach in time for Valentine's Day. At the Bronx Zoo, pay to share your loved one's name with a Madagascar hissing roach or give 5 roach socks and stuffed roaches. At the San Antonio Zoo, the Crimea Roach fundraiser lets jilted eggs strike back by naming a roach that will get gobbled up by a zoo animal. The zoos will say your loved ones will appreciate the goosebumps.
I think it's a fantastic idea under the right circumstances. I mean, I know a couple of people. I'm just saying. Let's talk about this weather, shall we? Because I think there's a few people who'd like to gift Mother Nature one of those roaches at this point. We've got dense fog out there to contend with all the way through about noon. We're going to be cloudy with some patchy drizzle as well. Low 40s by late morning. Highs today, warmer. We're going to go mid, maybe even upper 40s out there. Again, cloudy skies, maybe an isolated shower too, some patchy drizzle. More meaningful, measurable rain returns this evening into the overnight hours. We initially hover through the 40s and eventually drop back into the mid to upper 30s, but that's the good news is we're going to stay above freezing, so we shouldn't have to contend with any kind of wintry precipitation. We're going to have another round of fog to kick off our Wednesday, as if this morning's fog wasn't enough. Showers in the second half of our week, our Wednesday, and those will continue through Saturday. Low 50s through Friday. We cool back just a little bit for the weekend and warm up again by next Monday. That's a quick check of your forecast. Got another hour of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
At Bath Naylor and Frisco Funeral Home, we own and operate our own crematory called